Okay, Elisa's admin mock training.
Blah, blah, blah. Welcome, everybody. Da, 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 here's how to participate. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. I'll go ahead and start the recording now.
There we go. And welcome everybody to our Zoom admin training. I'm your host today. My name is Elyse and I'm part of the customer success team here at Zoom. So very happy to have you. We have an hour together today during our session and I have an agenda. So our main goal is to really take a look at the Zoom portal in detail and show you everything that you need to know so that you can feel confident as you're taking over this role in your company. Now, for today, I do have, quite a few things on the list. I'd like to start by giving you a nice overview of the admin portal, and then we'll talk more about the Zoom licensing deployment. So how are you going to add users to the account? We'll talk about also how to customize the settings at a global level or an account level. User management is really fun for part 4, so how to manage those users, but also how to create roles and even groups of people within your account. Toward the end, we'll take a look at some of the reports that you can access as the admin, and then I'll take just a couple of moments to show you the dashboard, which is available to our business and enterprise account holders. When we're done with all of that, I'll give you some nice support resources that will be helpful, and then we also will take a look at the Q&A. So let's go ahead and get started. A little earlier today, I sent out a poll to you. Let's take a look at those results together. So on question 1, which scenario best applies to you? It looks like we do have a couple of people that you are the owner of the account and then you want to start adding some users and really building out that account. Most of us have been assigned as the admin of maybe your organization or your company's account, so that's great. And then luckily nobody answered, wait, I thought we were learning how to host a meeting. So that is good news. That means you're pretty much in the right place, it looks like. And then question 2, what type of Zoom license do you have? We have some basic, some free, that's okay, and then some pro and business enterprise, just a couple of those. And luckily nobody answered, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then our last question on the poll, have you logged into the admin portal before? A couple of yeses, mostly no's, and that's okay because that's really my goal for today is to help you feel comfortable with that. And then luckily nobody answered, I have no idea what you're talking about. So it looks like pretty much all of us are in the right place. That's great news. Then let's go ahead and move on. I want to start by kind of setting the stage and the foundation for this training session. And one thing that I think is helpful is to establish the roles that are available by default in your Zoom account. So one person will be the owner. You'll notice that there is only one account owner and they have full access and permissions to do, whatever they need to do. Now, if you are the owner of the account and you want to transfer your ownership privileges, you can do that. So that is just one thing I would like to mention. The next role is the admin. So most of us here today, this is us. You can have unlimited admins. They're able to manage the user accounts and even change user settings if needed. The only thing, admins pretty much have the same privileges as the owner. The only thing they can't do is to add and change roles. So as the owner, if you want your admins to be able to do that, you have to give them that permission in the settings. And then the third type of role by default, these are our members. And then you can decide if you'd like to give them pro license, which that's subscription based. We'll talk about that next. Or you can have an unlimited number of free licenses on the account. So that will kind of set the stage for us. Now let's talk a little bit more about the plans and the licensing. It's good to be familiar with these, not only because you want to know, what are your privileges and permissions when you're using Zoom, but also because you'll be, assigning licensing to the users. So you'll want to be familiar with this. Oops, sorry. So I'm going to go back over here to our website, and I've got this open for us. And this is our plans and pricing page if you ever needed to check this out again. So on our basic or free account, you can have, again, an unlimited number of these users on your account. You have all of the basic functionality of a Zoom meeting here. You can, have an unlimited number of meetings. You can have up to 99 people in the meeting with you. The kind of main limitation of this account, and this is a question we get a lot, is the time limit on a group meeting. So I'm going to highlight that quickly and just point that out to you. If a person has the free account and they're hosting, and it's a meeting with just two people, so the host and one other, there's an unlimited, time limit there. However, when the third person joins into that meeting, that's now considered a group meeting, and that is when the 40-minute time limit will begin. So that meeting will time out. So that's the basic account. If you're an admin and you have the basic account, that's okay, because your licensing is separate from your role in the account. So it's okay if you're an admin with a basic. Now, if you are the owner of the account, if you want the ability to add people, to add users, then you have to have at least the Pro license. And this is our paid level of service here. With the Pro license, you get all of these basic features. You get rid of the time limit on the group meetings, and then you get a lot of other really nice, more advanced features. You might also notice that you have the opportunity here to add our large meeting add-on if you need some more participants. And then you'll notice right here, I'll highlight it for you quickly actually. This is what you need to be able to add users and really build out that account. So there only needs to be one Pro account on, one Pro license on the account. So maybe as the owner, you have the Pro, but you don't really need it. You could always transfer that Pro license to a different user on your account. So that's another thing. Okay, then let's come over here. We do have the business license. I noticed that only a couple of us have the business and enterprise. This is when you're getting into having, quite a few more hosts on the account. You do get more participants. And then there are a few things that I'll highlight during our session today. For example, you get the dashboard, you get a vanity URL, manage domain, a single sign-on, and then I also will touch on custom emails and branding if you're interested in that as well. Now at the enterprise level, so one step above, you need a minimum of 50 hosts on this account, and you get all of these features, you get more participants, and then you also get the unlimited cloud storage, which you might notice here. So that is a quick rundown. If you're someone who's saying, wait, I'm on education or telehealth, your account will be quite similar to these, so business and enterprise level. So hopefully that, nice quick rundown of the licensing was helpful for anybody, that still had some questions about that. All right, let's go to our next item on the agenda, and that is the Zoom admin portal overview. So once you're ready to log in, just go ahead and sign in with your credentials, and you will come into the portal. Now, for those of you that are already, quite familiar with Zoom, you probably recognize this part up here. This is what we go over in our user trainings. And you'll notice that it has the title of personal. So this is more of your personal use of Zoom and what settings and meetings and webinars you have scheduled. However, our goal today is to really look at this, and this is the admin portal down here. So once you have become an admin, you'll see this on your account. And our goal for today is to look over user management in detail. I'm going to open that just so you can see that drop down. We'll take a look at users, group management, and role management. And then let me pull that back up. At the very end, I'll touch on that dashboard to show you what that looks like. And then our other goal is to take a look at account management and a couple of these in detail. So let me open this. We'll take a look at account profile, the settings. I'll go over some of the reports. I'll very briefly touch on the recording management as well. So this is really our goal today is these two right here. So user and account management. I will open advanced like 1 or 2 times just to point out some things to you if you'd like to take a look at that in more detail later. Now in my account, you might notice that I also have a room management tab and a phone system management. If your company uses Zoom rooms, we have a separate training that would go over this in detail. So I'm not going over that today. And then if your company uses Zoom phone, we have also a separate training that goes over this part right here. So I will skip over that during our session today. All right, so that's our overview, and let's move on to our next agenda item, which is the Zoom licensing deployment. So how do you plan to add users to the account? And there are 4 different ways that I will highlight during our session today, and I'll kind of come back to this and keep referring to this just because it's easy to visualize it from here. So as I mentioned before, to be able to even add anybody to an account, you have to have the minimum of the Pro license. So you'll notice that here. And I will go over each of these options and show you how to do that in the portal, starting with option number 1, which is individual deployment. The first thing is you'll see that this is available to everybody. So anybody can use this option. Let's go back into the portal. And from here, I'm right here in user management, and I'm just clicking on users. So I'll come back to this in a little bit. For now, we're only talking about adding people to your account. So let's just really focus on that for now. Then let's go ahead. Hi. Small interruption. Okay, I'm back. So for individual deployment, we're just going to go into our portal and then under user management, click on users. At the top, now we're going to come back to this, but at the top, I'm just going to highlight for now that we can click the blue button to add users to our account. So let's go ahead and click. And then I will simply type in the email addresses of whoever I'd like to add to my account, choose their licensing, if they need any other features. All of this is, optional. You can put in maybe a department or job title if that would be helpful later, like whenever you're running reports, for example, you could, categorize. However, the rest of this is optional, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in a little bit, but not right now. So let's say I just have one person that I want to add. So I'm just going to type in their email here, and then I will give them a basic license and then add. If you have more than one, you'll just separate those by commas. So that is one really easy way. Great if you only have a couple of people that you want to add. However, there is one thing that I have to note and highlight for everybody right here. And that's that whenever you're adding people in this way, you will need to add people with like features and like licensing. So for example, if I have 2 or 3 people that I want to give the basic license to, I'll put them in and then add. And then if I have a different group of people and I'd like to give them a pro license, then I'll have to come and do that again and then add them. And then maybe there's a group that's going to have pro and the webinar add-on, then I also would add them separately. So each group is separate based on the like features and licensing that you'll be assigning to that group. So that's something to keep in mind here. But that is one really easy way. Now let's go back. So back on our slide here, and option number 2 is also available to everybody. So from the Pro and above, this is just simply importing a CSV file of users into the account. So let's go back. And I'm just going to stay where we were. So right here on the Users tab, I will come over here to the top right corner, and you'll notice that I can click Import. So all you're creating for the CSV file, it's just like a spreadsheet. And the first 3 pieces of information are required. So you have to have at a minimum the email, the first name, and the last name of all of the users. And then you will just upload your file here. Now, the same thing for what I just mentioned goes for this way as well for the importing of the file. Each group of users has to be added separately. So maybe I've got a group and I'd like to give them the basic license, then that would be a separate file. And then another group with the pro and so forth, pro webinar. So that is something to keep in mind. What I would probably do is just create my CSV files, my spreadsheets, and then I would name them the type of license that I want to give. So this group is pro, this group is pro webinar. So this is a great way if you have quite a few more users that you would like to add rather than before when it was just a couple. Okay, so now let's go back because the next 2 ways are a little different from what we've just done. You'll notice that these are only available to the business and enterprise accounts here, and this will be the managed domain and the SSO integration. So let's go, how about this one first? So managed domain, let's go back over. And I'm going to go down now. So to get to this, I'm going to start with account management, and then I will click on the account profile tab. So let's click. And from here, you can see, some basic information about the account. And then if you come down toward the bottom, you'll see this, the manage domain option. So this is just, the email domain for your company. Click add, type it in, and then it will be verified. So this could be like yourcompany.com or yourschool.edu. And if you have more than one, that's okay. You're just going to separate those with commas. So type in the domain, click add, and then once it's verified, any user that already has a basic license with that email domain in their, in their user, then they will be automatically added to that account. And further, any new accounts that are created, again, with that same email domain, will automatically be added to that account. So this is a really easy kind of hands-off way to add a bulk number of users straight into the account. So that is the manage domain option. And then I do have one more option to highlight for you, and that would be this one, our SSO integration here. And again, this one is only for the business and enterprise accounts. So let's go back where we were, and I'm right here in the account profile. You'll also see at the bottom the vanity URL. So what you'll do first is apply for your vanity URL for your company. And typically it's just like yourcompany.zoom.us. So I've got an example of what this looks like. And then with this opportunity, you have the opportunity, to upload your own picture, kind of work with the branding here, make it a little bit more your own. And then what you'll do is have the single sign-on configured. The people in your company have to come to the vanity URL and click sign in, and that's it. And then that will configure their account with the SSO. So this is another great way to add, a large number of people quickly. Now, after you've got your vanity URL approved and you've got that all ready to go, you do have to configure the SSO. And to do that, you'll need to know SAML 2.0 configuration. So let me go over here and I will show you how to find that. This is under the advanced tab, and it is more advanced, so I won't go through it in too many details, but click down here at the bottom for single sign-on. And this is what it looks like. So you'll notice this SAML response mapping, SAML here, and then you'll configure your SSO. One thing that I'll highlight to you from here, and you'll notice this as we go through the portal a little bit more. If you find this word document, that means that you can click and you'll be taken to all of the support guides to help you with that, particular place in the portal. So I'm going to open this in a new tab for us. I'm going to do that. There we go. And when I go to document, here it is, all of the articles that I would need to help me with single sign-on as I'm configuring that for my organization. A couple that I will highlight for you, the basic SAML mapping, the advanced SAML mapping, and the SSO pre-provisioning are three that I would recommend taking a look at whenever you get a chance. So I can send that to you now in the chat if you'd like for me to. And then just remember, if you want to look at it later, it's right here under document, under advanced and single sign-on. All right, okay, let's go back over now. And those are the 4 ways that you can add users to your Zoom account. So now you maybe know a little bit better what you'd like to do. I've got a poll for us, so would you mind answering the poll? And I'm just asking the question, what type of deployment do you plan to use? And you can choose more than one answer here. So which one do you think would work best for you and in your situation for your company? So I'm going to send out that poll now and just give you a couple of seconds to answer that question. Okay, great. So most of us have at least, an idea of a couple that we might try. And then, a couple of us are still kind of thinking about what we want to go with at this time. And that's totally fine. So those are our options for deployment. Now, the next part, so this is part 3 in our agenda, we're on to the account settings and how to customize those settings at a global level. So let's go back into our portal. And this will take place right here under our account management tab. So let me just pull this up, kind of make that look a little cleaner. Under account management, I'm going to jump down now to my account settings. Now, for those of you that have already been in your personal portal before and you've done the settings for your personal account, this probably looks somewhat familiar to you. So it is very similar. And in this settings tab, you'll be able to adjust the settings for meetings and webinars, recordings, and telephone, but this is at a global level. So in other words, if you make a change here, you are making a change for everybody that is a part of your account. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind. But what's great about this is that it gives you so much control over what settings and features you want to allow or maybe disable, or even features that you want to lock in a certain position and make sure that nobody can change the positioning of that feature or disable it or enable it. So let's go through some of these. I mean, I'll just kind of scroll quickly with you. Whenever you're in here later, you can use the navigation bar. You'll notice that each section is listed here, and it just helps you jump around a little bit faster. So some of these probably look familiar to most of us. If you are concerned at all with security, for example, you can always take a look at authenticated users. Only authenticated users can join meetings. PMI, if you'd like to adjust that a little bit, maybe requiring some passwords for meetings on your account. You can always, lock those settings if you'd like to. Let me just pick out one for us here. How about this one? How about private chat? So let's say that in my company, I feel very strongly about private chat. I don't want anybody to be able to do private chatting. Now, if I just turned it off, so the setting that you see right here, that means that that will be the setting by default, but then each individual user would be able to go into their account settings and they could still turn it on if they want to. So if I want to make sure nobody can do private chat ever, then I'll want to lock that feature in the off position. So I would turn it off and then I would press lock. And then that means it cannot be changed by anybody except for an admin. Or you can see here that I have it on for this account. If I leave it on, then it will be on by default for everybody, but they have the chance to turn it off if they want. Same thing applies if I want to lock something in the on position, just turn it on and then lock it. And then it will be on no matter what, and nobody can turn it off. So you've got a lot of decisions to make there with what types of features you'd like to have locked in a certain position, or if you just want them off. File transfer might be another one to take a look at. Do you want people to be able to send files in the chat for people to download during the meetings? And then we'll just kind of scroll through some of these other ones quickly here. We have our virtual backgrounds. Those are really popular there. Waiting room feature is also really popular. So I want to go ahead and jump down to this next one, which is the email branding option here. Now, if you have the business or the enterprise accounts, then you would have the ability to edit your emails a little bit. But I wanted to point out a couple of things to you. So from here, I can press edit and I can change some things about the emails, but you'll notice that this is in the free marker format. So you might want to become a little bit familiar with that if you aren't already. And then the great news though is if you make some adjustments in here and it just looks really crazy, you can always test it out and do a preview, see if it looks okay before you apply those changes. So you can make some edits there. And if you want to play around with the branding for your account, we have a link right here that will take you straight into the branding page, which is on the advanced tab, by the way. And then you can, make the branding a little bit more customized for your company. A few more things I'll point out. So email notifications, you can decide how people will be emailed about their meetings and webinars in your account. So make your decisions here. But there's one that I wanted to highlight, which is this one. You can receive an email when the host licenses are running low. So this is an email that would only go to you as the admin. And then you can even adjust at what level you would like to be notified. So let me know when we only have 70, we've reached 75% and we only have 2 pro licenses left to give out to our users. So that's just a really great one to know about there. Okay, then let's go back up. So that was the meeting settings. I know quite a bit to look at there, but you also have recording settings. So from here, let's just say that for whatever reason, I do not want anybody on my account to record to the cloud because I don't want them, taking up my 1 gigabyte of storage or whatever. Then I can come down here and I can turn off cloud recording and lock it if I want. So again, same options apply, and then you have some other options down here. If your company wants to maybe send out a consent, asking people to consent to be recorded, you could turn that on for your account, for example. That one's pretty popular here. You also can delete your cloud recordings after a certain number of days, and you can set that up just to kind of free up some space in your account. One more setting that I'll talk about, and this one is the telephone. So under toll call, you'll see that there are a lot of numbers listed here. These are the numbers that people are allowed or able to use on your account. However, the numbers down here, let me scroll down a little bit. The numbers under the global dial-in, when I click the pencil, these are the numbers that will appear in my invitations. So by default, these numbers will always go out in, account-wide invitations. So let's say we do business in Australia and the United States, and I want to put both of those numbers on my invitations. I can pull that over, press save, and then that will be saved for everyone on my account. So just some additional options there. Okay, so those are our account settings, and you'll, probably just spend some time going through that and setting all of that up and making decisions on all of those. The next part is really fun. So this is part 4 today. Let's go back into that user management tab. I'll take a look at more of the things that we can do with the users that are on our account, and then we'll create some roles and some groups. So this will be really fun. All right, coming back over here, I'm going to click on user management. And let me just pull this up. I like to keep everything organized here. Okay, click on users. And this is where we were before, but you'll notice that I really just was focusing on adding users. So let's take a look at some other things that we can do from here. One thing that I like is you have a little announcement up here. You have only 1 more pro license to give out, but you can give out unlimited free or basic licenses from here. I can see a list of everybody that's added to my account, and then I can see some information about them with these column headings here. Now let's say I wanted to change up these columns a little bit. I can just come over here to the right side of the page and click on the settings, and I can choose, what types of information I'd like to be displayed right here. Let's say that I have a couple of people that I know that I want to set them as my admins. I can quickly do that by clicking Set Admins, type in their emails, and set them as the admin. And then once you have added people to the account, if you've done that, with Manage Domain or the import or whatever, whenever you click Pending, you'll be able to see a list of the people that have been added or invited to add. And then if they do not activate within 30 days, they are removed. So you might want to, resend that just in case if they haven't activated that account yet. Let's go back to users. And I can see a couple of other things that I can do here. So I'm just going to go down to me, and I'll make adjustments from here. Here I am. And I can see some information. I then can click Edit. From here, I can change what type of license or features that somebody has. I can give them a role, fill in their department, their title, and their location. So we'll talk about roles here in a little bit, but you can see that you can make edits, at an individual level. Another thing you can do is let's click on the 3 little dots, the options menu here. I can deactivate, unlink, or even delete someone from my account. So deactivate just means that I've, deactivated their account. They cannot use their Zoom account at that time. If I want to unlink them, that means that I am letting them keep their email, so they can still log into Zoom with this email, for example. It's just that they won't be a part of our account anymore, and they will be stripped of all of their fancy licensing. So all of this will go away. They'll just have the free license, but they can still use that email with Zoom. And then the other option, maybe I want to completely delete someone. By clicking here, there is a great thing I wanted to point out. Let's say that person no longer works at your organization, but you have someone ready to take over their spot to backfill. You can choose what you would like for that new person to have. So maybe I want them to have their meetings and their recordings, and then type in that new person's email and transfer that data, and then delete the person who's leaving. So that's also a really great thing to know how to do. Additionally, let's say that somebody on your account, they need a little bit of help, or you just need to do some research. You can always click into the name of a user, and then you can see their entire account from here. So there's my profile. Here are my settings, my meetings that I have coming up. You can even schedule a meeting for someone from here. And if you have the webinar add-on, if I have any webinars coming up from here. So this is great if somebody needs help, or if you need to troubleshoot a little bit there. One more thing I wanted to show you before we move on. Oh, look, here's the document that I was talking about. I could click on document and it'll take me into that part of the help center. So you'll see those, every now and then throughout the portal. I wanted to just quickly talk about advanced, but I'll say this in passing really. If you want to make large sweeping changes to your account, and I point that out because make sure you know what you're doing here before you click anything, because it will make very large changes. Click on advanced, and for example, I could change everybody who's not an admin from a basic to a pro. And then change. Now that that would cost money, so that's why I said just be careful here, but you can make larger changes if you ever needed to do that. Okay, now let's go back because I want to get into the users a little bit more and really dig into some neat things that you can set up in your account. Now this is that slide that I showed you a little bit earlier. We have our owner, our admins, and our members, but we can customize this even more. So let's click. I can create some custom roles within my account, and this would give people certain permissions for viewing and maybe even editing certain aspects of my admin portal. So I can create a new role, add users to that role, and then give them certain permissions. So let's talk about how to create this, a custom role. Back in the portal, I'm going to stay under user management, but I just want to come down here to role management and go ahead and click. Now, only the owner can make these types of changes, so can change people's roles, unless the owner has given that permission to the admin. So let me just show you what this looks like quickly. I'm going to click admin. And here's the role name, the description, and then you'll be able to see that this is our admin portal, so everything that's over here, and then I can choose who is able to view those items and if they are able to edit those items. Now, if I choose view and view only, that means they can just look at it. If I choose edit, watch this, you'll see that it automatically enables viewing and editing privileges here. So as the owner, let's say you want to go ahead and let your admins change roles, then you would have to give them that editing permission from right here in the account. So let people change roles right here. Now let's go back because I want to show you how to create your own role. And I'll just go ahead and click the blue button for add a role. Give it a name, and I'm just going to call this one, how about billing? And I will put in the description if I want to. That's really just for you so that you can remember what this was about. And let's say that for my billing department, I would like them to be able to view the users but not edit the users. And I would like for them to be able to, let's scroll down, edit and view the subscriptions and the billing information. So you'll see that those are both automatically checked. And then I also would like for them to be able to see some of the reports. So who's using their license. And so I'll give them that as well. Let's go down. And now I will save those changes. And here is my new role that I have created, my billing role. And I can see that I have 0 members so far. I can edit or delete the role. I can go back into the role and make some changes if I need to. And then I can click up here on role members. And this is where I can go ahead and start adding someone to this role. So when I click add members in the right-hand side, you'll just start, typing in their names and then put in their email addresses and add them to that role right here. So, okay, yes, I know. Okay, so then that's how you would add somebody. Let's go back and I will just show you, how about this one? We can see that under the reporting role, I do have 1 member who's been added to this role. I can remove that member, or I can even move their role to a different role if I wanted to from here. All right, so then let's go back. Okay, let's go back over here actually. Well, I'm gonna delete this just because I don't want that to be on here. Okay, let's go back. And there is one more great thing that you can do with the users. So in addition to all of this, I also can create small groups. So user groups, that's where I can modify the account settings for that specific group of people. In other words, what features do I want them to have access to or not? Now, all the members by default will have those settings that you chose back whenever we were on the account settings list. But let's just say that there's a small group there. I want them to have a different type of setting. Let's go into the group management tab next. So I will click here and then I'll get into this one in a second, but let me just show you what it looks like to add your group. So I'll click add in the top right corner and give that group a name. So no cloud recording, let's say. I can choose to, add a description there if I want, and then go ahead and press save. At that time, I can make some edits if I need some, I can delete it if I want. I can even add admins who are just, in charge of this group right here. And then I also can add members to this group from this button here. Now, what you'll want to do is adjust the settings to, whatever you want it to be. So let's click on group settings. And let's just say that for this particular group, I don't care about anything else. They can keep all of the other default settings that I chose before, but I do not want for this group to be able to do cloud recording. So then I'll take away cloud recording and I will lock it. And then they would not be allowed to ever do cloud recording in the future. So that's a way that you can, again, just have a little bit more control over what people have access to as far as the settings. I mean, there's just so many things that you can do from here, really. So I'm just going to delete that because I don't want that on the account. But you can see that I do have this already created. I'll click in and I'll see that I have 1 group member here. I can add members and you just start typing their name and then it should pop up right here. And then I can add that person to this group. And now that person shows up here on this list. And again, remove or make changes here. Let me highlight one thing quickly about groups. So you'll notice that I have the ability right here to set a primary group. So this matters because if somebody is in more than 1 group, which you can do that, some of the features might be at odds with one another. So here's how it works. By default, Zoom will go with whatever features are locked. So if I have cloud recording locked on one account, and then I have cloud recording available in one group, and then I have cloud recording available in another group, but it's not locked, then that will be locked for me. So the locked settings take precedence. If there's no locked settings, then the default settings for that person will be whatever is their primary group. So take note of what settings you want them to have because primary group will matter in this situation. But by default, it really comes down to what's locked or not. Okay, and that's how we can create some groups in our account. Great, so okay, we're getting close to time. Let me go ahead and move forward, and let's come back over here to our next section. I want to touch on reporting and show you what types of reports you can run. And then I also want to show you the dashboard quickly after that. So back in our portal, we're going to go to reporting, which is under account management, and then just scroll down a little bit and click on reports. This is great because you can see that I have access to quite a few reports here. So how many people are holding meetings daily. So I can see all of that information here. I can even, this one's really important, I can even see if there are active hosts or inactive hosts. So maybe let's click on inactive hosts, for example. Maybe I see that these people who aren't really active on the account, they're not hosting meetings very often, they have some pro licenses. Well, I'm paying for that, right? So maybe I'd like to reallocate those pro to somebody else who's going to be a little bit more active in my account. So those are important. You can even see, a report of the meeting registrations and polls, the webinar, Q&A, polling performance, and you'll be able to see that account wide. Let's click on cloud recording because I can have, kind of a quick snapshot here of how much space we're using and how much space we have left. So let's just click on a date at random. Then I can see, okay, well, there's no data on there. Then I can click down here. Maybe I'll click on this one and I can see, oh, okay, here's how much recording was used and who was using, that recording space. Now with cloud recording, there's one more thing I wanted to show you. If this applies to your company, you also can click under account management, your recording management. So click. And as the admin, you have access to all of the cloud recordings. And then this is some important information up here. You can see how much space is left from right here. Okay, the final thing for today, I promised to give you just a quick rundown of the dashboard. And if you have the business or enterprise account, you'll have access to the dashboard. That is right here at the top, right under your admin account. If you don't see this in your account and you have business or enterprise, please reach out to us and we can always, get that activated for you. Now I'm going to click on that, and this test account, we don't have too much data, so I've got a couple of snapshots of what this would look like. This is great because it gives you like a lot of information at once. So from this home page of the dashboard, I can see, users, meetings, minutes, webinars, users. I can see top users by meeting, minutes, participants, where they're joining, what devices are being used. If I click on meetings up here, I can see, all the meetings. I can even click into a meeting. Watch this, we can really get in here and see everybody who attended that meeting, from what device, what type of microphone speaker they were using. And then, so this is the overall data. I can click on audio and maybe, there was an issue. I'm able to see latency, jitter, bit rate, video, same thing. So I'm able to have a snapshot of the quality of their experience during that particular meeting. So if there were issues, I can find those. Let's click on the name of an individual that was in that meeting, and I can dig even further. So take a look at this. For this one participant, I can see by the minute what was happening with their audio, with their video, screen sharing, and how much CPU usage, how hard their computer was working at that time. So this is great, again, for troubleshooting. If somebody's complaining about quality of audio or video, you could dig in here and really figure out what was going on with that. So that's our dashboard. Great, so I know that was a lot of information. Let's just do a quick review here. We took a look at the portal today and did an overview. We learned 4 different ways to deploy our licenses. We talked about those settings and how to customize those at a global account level. And then we saw how to edit our users, change the roles, and even create groups. We also took a look at all of the reports and the dashboard quickly from here. So thank you all so much for being here today. We'd love to invite you back for more training in the future if you're interested. This is our website at zoom.us/live training. And we have lots of different options for you here that are offered, every week. So you were in our Zoom admin training. Feel free to come to any of these other sessions that might be of interest to you. And then this is our support center. So when I was clicking on the document tab, remember I did that a couple of times, that was taking us to the support center. And this is the excellent resource that I have to share with you. I will send a link to this in our chat. So come here 24/7, type in keywords. We have tons of articles and even videos that can help you with any of these concepts that we talked a little bit about today. So thank you everybody for being here. I hope you have a really great week and we hope to see you next time. Thanks a lot.